All right, this is John from Madcap Music Review, and we're here with blues legend Coco Montoya. How you doing, brother?
Hey, man. John, thank you for having me out.
Thank you for having us.
All right.
So, you go back quite a ways with Albert Collins. That's kind of where you got your start, right?
Yeah, I started in 1972 with Albert, playing drums.
Playing drums, that's right.
Yeah.
Wasn't it, you were playing a gig and he used your drum set and or something? Wasn't that the start?
Yeah, that's kind of how it went. Actually, it was a gig where the club owner, we were playing there every weekend, and left my gear there, and we didn't know about the matinee Albert was going to do, and the club owner was so excited about him, he just said, use anything you want.
Right.
So when I came in to get my gear, everything was set up differently, and I got kind of pretty upset about it. But when I met Albert, and I said, it's already set up, go ahead and use it, you know. And we made friends, exchanged phone numbers. I didn't think anything was going to come of it, but it did.
Yeah, he was kind of your mentor in a way, would you say?
In a lot of ways, yeah. In a lot of ways, he was a big mentor. Yeah. You know, on a personal level as well as musical.
So growing up, what were some of your big influences starting out? Did you always know it was going to be blues that you wanted to play?
Probably not, no. I really wasn't aware. I just liked music, and the things that were affecting me were R&B and blues things and doo-wop music when I was a kid. And of course the Beatles and stuff, but basically the Beatles and everybody else from England were throwing Motown and soul music and Stax and all that stuff, and the blues back at us, where younger people like me, we didn't really know exactly what the origin of those things were, you know. So, yeah, I mean, apparently it was something that always grabbed me until I found out what it was. I had no definition.
That's kind of how it was in England in the 60s. There was that revival with the blues. People are going back to the old Robert Johnson, Son House albums. And
Yeah, John Mayall was big with all that, you know, all those guys back there at the time, Alexis Korner, people like that. So when they came over here, the albums started coming over here. It was like a rediscovery of our own music through the British.
Right, and you ended up playing with John Mayall for about 10 years, didn't you?
Yeah, I did 10 years with John as a guitar player, so it changed everything.
And that's just, from there, it just took off? Is that guitar-wise?
You know, yeah, I mean, it did 10 years, and my experience with Albert, you know, playing with a lot of the old blues greats, and locally in Los Angeles, we were at a great time for us, younger players at the time. We were doing local gigs in bars and small clubs in L.A., you know, with Big Joe Turner and Lowell Fulson backing up all these guys, you know, Shaky Jake Harris.
Wow.
All these guys, you know, and many, many, many more, you know, just
Robert
guys
Cray
like me
was
and
coming
Walter
up.
Trout and Juke Logan, all those guys, Joe Uwaley. God, I can just think of a million people.
Robert Cray was
in the Northwest at the time, and he was doing the same thing. You know, him and Curtis Salgado and the guys, and you know, they were up there doing the same thing, just hanging out with their idols and playing these gigs in these bars with them, you know.
Right.
And getting educated.
How did you come about your guitar style? Because you're a lefty, but you restring your guitar as a right-hander, right?
It's just purely by accident. There was no reason for me to do that, but just I'm left-handed. I picked up a right-handed guitar the wrong way and didn't know there was a wrong and a right to it, you know. So I just learned the way I learned.
Wow, because to me, that's incredible. It's like a mark of genius right there. I mean,
there's a bunch of other guys that do it and do it really well. You know, Eric Gales is one guy that really plays, you know, it's amazing. You get Bobby Womack, Albert King, of course, Otis Rush.
Dick Dale's, I think, does the same.
Dick Dale as well, yes. Greg Wright. A lot of great guys play that way.
I think with you, what transcends the most is the guitar is almost like a second voice for you. You can really feel it in your playing, the soulfulness. It almost brings tears to your eyes when you hear it. There's this depth and this passion. It's just unreal.
Well, that was the whole thing behind playing, was always about expressing yourself and learning that there are people that I could identify with that played that way, that came from the heart as opposed to the head about playing. You know, Clapton definitely is one of the guys that, you know, plays from his heart. You know,
Stevie Ray was a lot like that.
Stevie Ray was another guy that played gratefully from his heart.
Yeah, I mean,
and all the technical knowledge, but you know, it doesn't mean anything if you don't feel it.
That's absolutely right. And it transcends. I think that's one of the great things about it. You feel it when it comes out of the speakers. Like, it's honest, it's real, it's...
Totally. Yeah, it's a whole different thing.
It's everything that's good about music.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you've got a live album, you say, that's coming out hopefully soon.
Well, we're working on it at this point. You know, we got a great show we did up in Seattle, Washington, and we're going to be mixing it at the end of this month and see how things come out. Hopefully that'll be the one.
Right on. And tour coming up?
May, the end of May, the beginning of May, actually. We'll finish mixing and we'll start the tour right there in Memphis. So we'll play the Memphis and May Blues Festival. So
is there out of all the gigs you've played over the years, is there one in particular that stands out to you as being most memorable or most?
There's probably a bunch of them. I've been doing this since I was 20 years old, so I've been on the road playing great gigs with great people and being in great places at the right time. There's so many. My time with Stevie Ray Vaughan, though it wasn't very much, but it was enough for me and him to make a definite contact.
That's just got to be.
That was wonderful things to think about. My friendship with Robert Cray is great. I respect him a lot as a player and as a friend. It's one of those things where you get both. That's what you really want.
Yeah.
And the ongoing things that happen, all these young guys coming up and playing. I'm grateful to be on some of the stages with them. My friendship with Walter Trout's very important to me.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
How are is there a difference in reception with crowds when you go overseas with the blues than here in the States, would you say, or is it?
I would say right now, if I had to say about playing the blues over in Europe, my experience, and I haven't been going over there very much, just a bit, but I've always had some real enthusiasm for live music, they seem to be, where they're willing to go out and see somebody, read something in the paper, and say, I think I'm going to go check that out, Or I think people hear the stage, you have to convince them before they'll come out of the house and this genre of music.
What are your thoughts on the music industry with the internet? And it just seems like it kind of changed everything. Is it tough to? I can see it being good as in getting your music out there and people being exposed to you, but then with all the downloading and all that nonsense,
it's probably going through a lot of growing pains. I would think. Not having a real big knowledge of all that stuff, and trying to get a handle on it and understand. I think the whole business is trying to figure out this new way of selling a person's music and making a living at this. It's all changed. It's all changed. I don't think they figured it all out yet. I think things go in a circle. I think that once we find our way to navigate the internet and everything, and everybody gets an idea how they're actually going to sell music now. Because you never thought CDs would be obsolete, but they're getting there.
And I collect vinyl and CDs. I want to have the package and the liner notes and all that. That's important as a fan.
Yeah, and it's really sad that me and my wife were talking about the fact that we can't go to Tower Records anymore.
I know.
We used to love let's go down to Tower, and just look around and see something. We say, let's get that, or just to shop. Now it's not that. You got to do it on the internet, or you got to be at a live show, and we're pretty much the stores for our own music. Play the gig and we sell the merch.
The merch, yeah.
Yeah.
And Tower was great. To have a big chain like that where they had a blues section, a jazz section. You could put on headphones and hear the different stuff.
I used to love it. I used to run into a lot of people in Tower over in the valley out there. Just have a great time, man. Just hanging out.
There's still some good indie stores around. There's Fingerprints in Long Beach, and obviously, Amoeba.
Yeah. Yeah, my wife just went there a couple weeks ago.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, it's just it feels good. It feels good to have something in your hands.
Yeah, it's like Disneyland for music lovers. I could spend the whole day in there and not come out.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right on. Well, where's the best place for people to get a hold of you is online as far as finding out what you're up to, what you're doing?
I think Facebook is a real good place. That's pretty much what I'm using right now. Still working on a website, but Facebook right now is the best thing, and you can always go to rosebudus.com. It's my agency, and they have a listing of all my shows. That's the best place to look for what I'm up to.
Right on. Well, thank you so much for having us. We really appreciate it.
What a buddy. Thank you, man.
Thank you.
I like what you're doing.
Blues legend Coco Montoya. Check this guy out. There's not even words to describe it. It's just brilliance. That's what it is.